Welcome to the deep dive. So often when we think about financial success, our minds jump straight to spreadsheets, complex algorithms, maybe predicting market moves. It really feels like it's all about the numbers, doesn't it? Like you need to be some kind of math genius. But what if the real secret to building wealth isn't really about your IQ, but maybe more about your EQ? Today, we're taking a deep dive into Morgan Housel's really insightful book, The Psychology of Money. And Housel, well, he doesn't waste any time getting to his main point. Right up front, he says, financial success is not about knowledge, it's about behavior.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we want to unpack in this deep dive. We're aiming to pull out the most important nuggets from this book. We want to show you how deeply your emotions, your ego, those biases you might not even know you have, and even just, how you grew up, how all that profoundly shapes your financial choices. It's really about understanding the why behind what you do with your money. And often, that why matters a lot more than the how much or how fast.
That's such a fascinating way to start because, yeah, we tend to think money decisions are purely rational, based on objective facts. But how much do our own individual life stories actually influence those choices? Is it really about the facts?
Well, it's pretty fundamental, actually. House argues quite strongly that people form their views about money based much more on their unique life experiences than just, objective data. Think about his example. Someone born during a huge financial crisis might just instinctively fear risk. They prioritize security above all else. But someone else, maybe born during a long economic boom, they might see risk completely differently, be much more willing to embrace it, maybe even chase it. And the implication there is huge. Basically, no two people see money exactly the same way. So understanding your own unique lens, your own biases shaped by your life, is absolutely critical because it's coloring every decision, often without you even realizing it.
That makes so much sense when you put it like that. Easy to overlook, though. And building on that idea of unseen influences, we often chalk up financial success purely to skill, right? Hard work, smart decisions. But what about those factors totally outside our control, like luck? It almost feels a bit awkward to talk about luck in finance.
It does feel awkward, yeah, because it kind of challenges that narrative we like, the one about control and pure merit. But Housel makes a really compelling case that success, especially in finance, is almost always a mix of skill and luck, a significant mix. He uses the Bill Gates example, which is, pretty well known but powerful, obviously brilliant, incredibly smart, but also just incredibly lucky to go to one of the very few schools in the world in the 1970s that actually had a computer students could use. That access, that early exposure, it was a huge, almost unrepeatable advantage, a lucky break.
Wow. So, okay, if luck plays such a big role, what does that actually mean for us? Do we just give up and say it's all random?
No, not at all. That's not the point Housel's making. The crucial lesson isn't about fatalism. It's more about context. It means you should never blindly copy someone else's financial path. Don't just look at their success and try to do exactly what they did. Their journey, their success, it's tangled up with factors you just can't replicate, including their specific moments of luck. Your situation, your game is different. You have to understand that context before you even think about trying to emulate someone.
It's that distinction between skill and luck and context. Yeah, that's really important. Now, here's something that feels, I don't know, really counterintuitive in our culture that's so focused on getting richer. We're constantly pushed to chase higher incomes, right? Work harder, get that promotion, make more money. But is earning more really the key to building lasting wealth?
Housel comes down pretty definitively on no, actually. He argues, quite convincingly, I think, that building wealth has much more to do with your saving habits, your consistency, than just how much you earn. I mean, think about it. You could have someone earning a massive salary, but if they spend every penny, are they really wealthy? Compare that to someone earning less, but who saves diligently, consistently. They're the ones actually building wealth. It's not about the income figure. He boils it down to this really potent line. You don't need to make more, you need to desire less. Shifting that focus from just accumulating more to maybe being content with less, that can completely change your financial trajectory.
That's a total mindset shift, isn't it? It really forces you to examine your relationship with stuff, with consumption. And speaking of building wealth, there's that other concept that gets talked about a lot, compounding, the eighth wonder of the world, supposedly. What's the behavioral catch there? Why don't more people really harness its power?
The catch is, well, it's patience. Simple as that, but incredibly hard in practice. Compounding is genuinely magical because it lets tiny gains repeated over long periods grow into absolutely massive results, exponential growth. But the key ingredient is time. Loads of it. It's like that snowball analogy, right?
Mm.
Starts tiny, needs a very long hill to become an avalanche. And Housel uses Warren Buffett as the prime example. It's
Mhm.
staggering, but something like 95% of his immense wealth was actually generated after he turned 65. Now, that's partly investing skill, obviously, but it's skill combined with just extraordinary patience, letting compounding work its magic for decade after decade after decade.
Wow, after 65, that really puts it in perspective. So the core lesson seems pretty clear then. Start as early as you can, be incredibly patient, and just let time and compounding do their thing. Don't mess with it too much. But okay, this brings up a really human challenge, doesn't it? We live in a world that's constantly yelling, more, more. How do we ever figure out when we actually have enough?
Yeah, that's a huge one. Knowing when to stop chasing more, when to actually say, okay, this is enough. Housel argues that's fundamental, not just for financial stability, but for like actual happiness. And it's key to avoiding really unnecessary risks. That constant urge for just a little bit more often pushes people to overreach, doesn't it? They end up gambling with what they already have, risking something important for something they don't truly need. And sometimes they lose it all. He puts it so poignantly, there is no reason to risk what you have for what you don't need. It's about defining your own goalpost, finding your point of satisfaction rather than just constantly moving it further away.
That feels incredibly freeing, actually. Just the idea of defining enough for yourself and appreciating it, it changes the whole game. So if the ultimate goal isn't just piling up more and more money, what is the real prize that money can offer us, according to Housel?
Well, he makes a really strong case that the true benefit, the highest form of wealth money provides, isn't the luxury goods or the status. It's freedom. Simple as that. Freedom over your time and freedom to make your own decisions. Autonomy. He defines real wealth as basically being able to wake up each morning and decide what you want to do, when you want to do it, and who you want to do it with. It's not about the fancy car. It's about controlling your schedule, controlling your life. And he nails it with this quote: controlling your time is the highest dividend money pays. It's a quieter kind of wealth, often invisible.
That's such a powerful way to reframe wealth. Okay, and given everything we've talked about, individual perspectives, luck, patience, defining enough, it almost makes comparing our financial journey to other people seem, well, kind of pointless, maybe even damaging. Why does Housel see that as a trap?
It's a major trap, yeah. Because, as he points out, everyone is playing a fundamentally different financial game. We all have different goals, different timelines, different risk tolerances. Think about, say, a short-term day trader who's trying to make quick profits today versus someone saving for retirement 40 years from now. They're operating in completely different universes, using different strategies, measuring success differently. They often don't even understand each other's approach. So the critical insight is, don't just blindly follow financial advice or jump on trends without first asking, does this actually fit my game? You need to know your own goals, your own time frame, your own comfort with risk before you take advice designed for someone playing a completely different game.
It really is remarkable how Housel takes these, quite deep psychological insights and just lays them out so clearly. He makes them stick.
He really does. His writing style is a huge part of it. It's simple. It's driven by stories and anecdotes, very relatable. He pulls examples from history, from investing, from psychology, but keeps it accessible. There's no dense math or intimidating jargon.
Yeah.
Anyone can pick it up.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's definitely one of its biggest strengths, isn't it? It offers such a fresh take on money. It shifts the focus squarely onto human behavior, not just complex strategies. And the lessons feel timeless, like they apply to anyone no matter where they are financially.
Right. And just for balance, some critics might say a few ideas get repeated a bit across the chapters. And if you're looking specifically for detailed technical how-to financial strategies, this book might feel a bit, well, light on that front. It's more about the why than the how.
Sure, fair point. But the overall takeaway from the review we looked at was pretty overwhelming. It called The Psychology of Money. Basically a must-read for anyone who interacts with money, which is pretty much everyone, right? It might not tell you exactly which stocks to pick, but it helps you understand why you make the decisions you do. And crucially, how to maybe make better ones. The review gave it a solid 9.5 out of 10, recommended for literally everyone. So there you have it. Our deep dive into the psychology of money really brings home this powerful idea. Your financial success seems to hinge far less on how smart you are or how good you are with numbers, and much, much more on your behavior, how you think, how you feel, how you react when it comes to money. Understanding that is, well, it's empowering.
Absolutely. And just to leave you with something to chew on, a couple of final thoughts from Housel himself. First, spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to have less money. Ouch. And then consider the flip side. Wealth is what you don't see. It's the cars not bought, the watch is not worn, the money not spent. Invisible wealth.
Hmm. Invisible wealth. So maybe the question for you is, what does your invisible wealth look like? And how might understanding your own behavioral quirks, your own psychology around money, change the very next financial decision you make? Lots to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.